send it to you. Look at this one. Look at this one. Look at your phone.
Why are you?
I can't see
Stop
my
doing
hand.
that. What's up? Freaking over what?
Huh?
You freaking over what?
Freaking over what? What?
Oh. That's not
You recording?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Sent you that like 8 hours ago, Belinda. It's almost 24 hours. You did not see that. That was like almost a day ago.
Look. Can you see it? Huh?
Ooh, good. Learn how to work on the camera?
Yeah.
Can I set that?
What?
You cannot just set that.
No,
No, you can have been the girl that was like, can I set that?
What?
You cannot have said the girl that looks like Mackenzie.
Why does Avery keep posting these tags?
I don't know. Honestly, I might. No offense, I might block her.
Who is this?
I'm not doing friends with her.
You guys are only going to hit
No, not necessarily. I was joking friends with her. Well, I was just really friends with her. I just. Oh, man, you down for
how did you know I could do that?
because I know you.
I'm going to say this.
It's like me walking up to you right now and just accidentally touching you.
Touching.
Did you get any sleep last night? I need any sleep, child.
I found this one spot on the couch. Oh, I felt good.
What?
I found this one relaxing spot on my couch. I had my legs up. I was just chilling. I was listening to music. I was just in there looking at the scene.
You reminded my daughter that way. She'd be like, Mom, I need to go to the bathroom for like 3 hours. You gotta go. Or she'll go all day at school without going to the bathroom. She's like, I just can't.
That's
If I do want to use the bathroom,
exactly. The bathrooms are like,
Oh, now.
they're not deserved.
I should go back with fire.
Well, that's something
Like, how is that possible? How can somebody just poop on the floor? Like, bro, that's something you gotta do.
When I'm a little fake fuck a girl, I would never forget that. I don't even know when it's very hard. I beat that one girl up.
In front of the, in front of the Black History Month or something.
Did you recycle
Like, bro, come on now.
Was that what? Did we recycle the machines?
Yeah.
Or the vending machine wasn't working yesterday. I was thirsty.
How did they shake that? It's like, it looks green. It's like a green sign. No. Can you stop?
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Look, how does this charger unplug? Stop it. Which charge my phone? Huh? No, phone is charging the look at it.
Where's the order?
Where's the answer this one?
Yeah.
Did they restock?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say where they got it from, but they did not get it from there.
I don't know, they got some.
Can I get it right now?
But they came from there.
Yeah. I'm doing
Why?
my
Why?
Hey, please.
Hey,
I'm let you ride my bike, bro.
Hey, yo.
all right, y'all.
Yeah, there is a charger right on my
Let's go. We gotta do our reading log. Yep, you are all gonna speak tomorrow.
We watching a movie.
Well, yeah, but you have to do that until Monday, Tuesday. Tomorrow we have a quiz that we're taking over speak. And you're turning in your yellow sheet. And we're doing Thursday thoughts. On Friday, you will watch the fugitive, which is all about the theme from our next. I'm gonna explain. It's all about the theme from our next story. No, oh my. Let's go. All right. Let's do absentee diary. I don't like the chapter that happened after the chapter we read it. By the way, it's sad and cringy from here to the end. Starting today. It doesn't get any better. The very best chapter was what we read yesterday. That being said, you can still easily write me stuff today. He's really talking about grief, and he's talking about grief from funerals. Specifically, he says that he's 14, because again, Native American life expectancy, and this was even this way today, is in your 50s. Like that means I would have about 8 years left if I were a Native American on a Native American life today. Yeah, because of drugs, because of alcohol, because of poor diet. What?
8 more years.
Their life expectancy for Native Americans even today is in their 50s. It's about like 20, 30 years different than other groups. Hey guys, could you come back up here? So I mean, you like that for like every, could you come back up here? If you want to go back there for a minute, I'll allow it, but for the reading log, come on back so you can do the reading log. Because of that, if you want to write about a time where you were at a funeral, a lot of students choose to. Or you want to write about like loss or grief, a lot of students choose to. Maybe you want to compare and contrast the amount of funerals you've been to Gene. So Gene is 14 and he's been to 42. 42 funerals?
I was 6 out of my whole life. I've never been to 3. For real?
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's one thing too students will talk about. My mom doesn't like it because, it's sad or because of that. So that's all good. Okay, my point is that I want you to be writing about anything that's like that because that is a text to self. Text to self. You are making a connection between what you've read and you. So is that allowed? Yes. You may also give me a summary. Yeah, no.
What's the after the funeral you go to like
A wake or like a wake or sometimes they have a luncheon, like a funeral luncheon.
I don't know what it is.
A memorial.
Everyone does after funeral.
Yeah.
I never seen it there.
You have not, yeah.
Never seen it.
Yeah. Or, again, maybe you want to tell me about, you've been to a funeral and it was your grandpa, and because he was elderly and he was not feeling well, that one was sad, but it wasn't as terrible as a funeral you've been to in which someone young was murdered, and that was way more intense. So it's up to you, okay? Or you could just give me a summary about what we read. You can also today talk about grief. So Junior is going to have some really weird behaviors with his grief. Specifically, he's gonna be laughing and saying things that aren't right because he's filled with grief, yeah. And we've done that, like, I think I know I have, like, in times of extreme grief, sometimes I laugh. Um, it doesn't mean I think it's funny, it just means I'm just like, my body is trying to process extreme stress.
I do that a lot. Like even if it's not grief, I do it. And it's like sometimes it don't be the time, but I don't care. I gotta get a good laugh to feel it.
So here's the thing, boys and girls, on your reading blog today, because that's all a text to self, consider writing on that, and then I can actually give you credit for it in the reading. That's why I'm telling you the story, okay? All right, here we go. Let's start with our chapter. I'm gonna start us on page 200. And it starts off, because Russian guys are not always geniuses. There's a chapter before it. It's short. Remember, this is after the basketball game. The chapter that we're supposed to do is Rowdy and I have a long and serious discussion about basketball. I don't like the wording that's used in that chapter, so we're not going to read it. So we're starting off with the next one. Because Russian guys are not always interested. And we're only going to do about 15 minutes on it. This chapter is sad, and I'm talking mega cringe. So
Is it gonna make me cry or is it gonna make me laugh?
it's gonna make you it's actually just like grief is designed. When you see someone that's truly struggling with grief, usually we are so freaking uncomfortable that we want it to go away. In this reading, you would want it to go away. You're
I
like,
don't like
stop
how
it.
you feel.
I know, it doesn't feel good. It's real bad. And when I tell you, it's like, it's just really, really good. He's also like,
It's like one of them.
you'll see what I mean.
It's like I want to sleep forever type feel.
Yes,
I don't
when
want
you
to
just get real tired all of a sudden. Ayana, I love that you said that. Because he experiences that too. Like if you've ever been real sad, all of a sudden you get really tired.
Oh yeah.
I do that. I do that. I'm like, I'm so sad, my body can't process it, and I'm just like, night night. All right, here we go.
Because Russian guys are not always geniuses. After my grandmother died, I felt like crawling into the coffin with her. After my dad's best friend got shot in the face, I wondered if I was destined to get shot in the face too. Considering how many young Spokaneans have died in car wrecks, I'm pretty sure it's my destiny to die in a wreck too. Jeez, I've been to so many funerals in my short life. I'm 14 years old, and I've been to 42 funerals. That's really the biggest difference between Indians and white people. A few of my white classmates have been to a grandparent's funeral, and a few have lost an uncle or aunt. And one guy's brother died of leukemia when he was in third grade. But there's nobody who has been to more than 5 funerals. All my white friends can count their deaths on one hand. I can count my fingers, toes, arms, legs, eyes, ears, nose, penis, butt cheeks, and nipples, and still not get close to my deaths. And you know what the worst part is? The unhappy part? About 90% of the deaths have been because of alcohol. Gordy gave me this book by a Russian dude named Tolstoy, who wrote, "Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way." Well, I hate to argue with a Russian genius, but Tolstoy didn't know Indians. And he didn't know that all Indian families are unhappy for the same exact reason: the frickin' booze. Yep, so let me pour a drink for Tolstoy and let him think hard about the true definition of unhappy families. So, okay, you're probably thinking I'm being extra bitter. And I would have to agree with you. I am being extra bitter. So let me tell you why. Today, around 9 a.m., as I sat in chemistry, there was a knock on the door, and Miss Warren, the guidance counselor, stepped into the room. Dr. Noble, the chemistry teacher, hates being interrupted, so he gave the old stink eye to Miss Warren. "Can I help you, Miss Warren?" Dr. Noble asked, except he made it sound like an insult. "Yes," she said. "May I speak to Arnold in private?" "Can this wait? We are going to have a quiz in a few moments." "I need to speak with him now, please." "Fine. Arnold, please go with Miss Warren." I gathered up my books and followed Miss Warren out into the hallway. I was a little worried. I wondered if I'd done something wrong. I couldn't think of anything I'd done that would merit punishment, but I was still worried. I didn't want to get into any kind of trouble. "What's going on, Miss Warren?" I asked. She suddenly started crying, weeping, just these big, old, whooping tears. I thought she was going to fall over on the floor and start screaming and kicking like a 2-year-old. "Geez, Miss Warren, what is it? What's wrong?" She hugged me hard, and I have to admit that it felt pretty dang good. Miss Warren was like 50 years old, but she was still pretty hot. She was all skinny and muscular because she jogged all the time. So I sort of physically reacted to her hug. And the thing is, Miss Warren was hugging me so tight that I was pretty sure she could feel my physical reaction. I was kind of proud, you know. "Arnold, I'm sorry," she said, "but I just got a phone call from your mother. It's your sister. She's passed away."
Oh my God!
"What do
His
you mean?"
sister.
I
What?
asked.
Another one?
I knew what she meant.
What is that?
I wanted her to say something else. Anything else.
Wait, shut up!
"Your sister is gone," Miss Warren said. "I know she's gone," I said. "She lives in Montana now." I knew I was being an idiot, but I figured if I kept being an idiot, if I didn't actually accept the truth, then the truth would become false. "No," Miss Warren said. "Your sister, she's dead." That was it. I couldn't fake my way around that. Dead is dead. I was stunned, but I wasn't sad. The grief didn't hit me right away. No, I was mostly ashamed of my physical reaction to the hug. Yep, I had a big erection when I learned of my sister's death. How perverted is that?
If you don't know.
How inappropriately hormonal can one boy be? "How did she die?" I asked. "Your father is coming to get her," Miss Warren said. "He'll be here in a few minutes. You can wait in my office." "How did she die?" I asked again. "Your father is coming to get you," Miss Warren said again. I knew then that she didn't want to tell me how my sister had died. I figured it must have been an awful death. "Was she murdered?" I asked. "Your father is coming." Man, Miss Warren was a lame counselor. She didn't know what to say to me. But then again, I couldn't really blame her. She'd never counseled a student whose sibling had just died. Was my sister murdered? I asked. Please, Miss Warren said, you need to talk to your father. She looked so sad that I let it go. Well, I mostly let it go. I certainly didn't want to wait in her office. The guidance office was filled with self-help books and inspirational posters and SAT test books and college brochures and scholarship applications. And I knew that none of that, absolutely none of it, meant shit. I knew I'd probably tear her office apart if I had to wait there. Miss Warren, I said, I want to wait outside. But it's snowing, she said. Well, that would make it perfect then, wouldn't it? I said. It was a rhetorical question, meaning there wasn't supposed to be an answer, right? But poor Miss Warren, she answered my rhetorical question. No, I don't think it's a good idea to wait in the snow, she said. You're very vulnerable right now. Vulnerable. She told me I was vulnerable. My big sister was dead. Of course I was vulnerable. I was a reservation Indian attending an all-white school, and my sister had just died some horrible death. I was the most vulnerable kid in the United States. Miss Warren was obviously trying to win the Captain Obvious award. I'm waiting outside, I said. I'll wait with you, she said. Kiss my ass, I said, and ran. Miss Warren tried to run after me, but she was wearing heels and she was crying and she was absolutely freaked out by my reaction to the bad news, by my cursing. She was nice, too nice to deal with death. So she just ran a few feet before she stopped and slumped against the wall. I ran by my locker, grabbed my coat, and headed outside. There was maybe a foot of snow on the ground already. It was going to be a big storm. I suddenly worried that my father was going to wreck his car on the icy roads.
So now he's just worried about his dad.
Oh man,
And he launches
wouldn't that
into
just be perfect?
another set of cringy thoughts and
Yep.
vocals.
How Indian would that be? Imagine the stories I could tell.
Right? His dad dies.
Yeah. When I was a kid,
It didn't actually happen.
just after I learned that my big sister died, I also found out that my father died in a car wreck on the way to pick me up from school.
Wait, he died?
So I was absolutely terrified as I waited. I prayed to God that my father would come driving up in his old car.
And because he's worried, he has
Please, God,
serious,
please don't kill my daddy.
no joke, here we go.
Please,
Kill
God,
Daddy 1,000 times.
please don't kill my daddy. Please,
No, that's
That's
God,
not you know,
please don't kill my daddy. 10, 15,
right.
20,
For sure.
30 minutes went by. I was freezing. My hands and feet were big blocks of ice. Snot ran down my face.
Well, and to be honest,
My
thinking daddy as in like sexually inappropriate, right?
No.
So then let me challenge you to this. How different Junior also acts sexually inappropriate when he first hears. How are you acting? How is that any different? Right? So in essence, are you any different than Junior right now? In which as he says, oh daddy, and you're like, oh my gosh, your mind's in the gutter. How is it any different? No, that's what
I'm
you're
thinking like, wow, like you, I find once you get a certain age, you can
Tears were burning cold. Oh, Daddy. Oh, Daddy. Please. Oh, Daddy.
Yo.
Now, I will say something, we only have like a minute left of this reading here, alright. Now, I will tell you something, and I don't know if it's like in the south or not, I'm not southern, but I know like, for me growing up, when, Aubrey was small, and when you're small and you call your dad daddy, right, when you're like, I don't know, kindergarten or something, and if you never did, then I don't know, be quiet, I mean, listen to someone else's point of view for a minute. So if I would like ever, want her to do something, like, go tell daddy it's time to go. We've gotta go to church, we've gotta go to the store, we've gotta go to the park, something like that, right? So sometimes, like even now, like when I'm talking to her, I don't say like, go tell your father. I'm like, go tell daddy it's time to go. Like I'll still like refer to him like that. I don't know if like your mom ever does stuff like that when she's referring to daddy.
I'm gonna call you daddy.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
I'm like, it's not weird
I'm
in
like,
the
let's
moment.
see. I know, and I'm not meaning it like oh I'm referring to my husband as daddy. Like I'm not being devoted to it. But it's some. I'll tell you what. It's difficult because when she was small, that's what I called him out loud when I wanted to like talk about him to her. I wasn't like Adam, your parental father doing it. I was like, tell daddy it's time to go already. Or we'll go to dinner. Let's ask daddy when he gets home when he wants to go. Like that would be a casual conversation. So and the funny thing is, the other day, I was at Auburn School. I've been there like all this week because she's in like they have like late rehearsals. And so I'm like, she was asking me something, and I was like, I didn't think about it. I was like, let's. My husband was in LA. He went to the Lions game and stuff like that. So he was like just flying home, and I was like, well, when we get home, let's ask Daddy. Well, she about died. She like about died. Like she was like, Mom, you cannot say that out loud. I was like, why not? Like I didn't even really like think about it. So this is funny for me because now today I'm hearing the same thing like oh daddy, and I'm just like, oh my god, like she was so embarrassed. And she's like, the funny thing is afterwards, her friend was like, is your dad's name Derek? Like, why are you daddy?
That's not weird to me. Yeah, mommy over here.
All right, y'all.
Mom's like, hey, yo, we know that. I'm gonna go watch
All right, y'all, let's go ahead and kind of finish up this bit here. So I will save you the remaining chunk of that chapter until tomorrow. Yep, and then we'll hear what happened and all that. But right now, first, Dad needs to tell him, and again, because he's in grief, he's spiraling, right? And we can tell. And it's not pleasant. Just like in general, when we have someone near us that is struggling, sometimes when someone is really, really profoundly sad, we distance ourselves. We're awkward. We walk away. We don't like to ask that person why they're struggling. We like to pretend that person, like, if you've ever seen someone like super, super sad or stressed for a long period of time, we tend but then sometimes we just like,
Yeah.
but if you don't know them real well, you usually tend not to do reaching out. You tend to just kind of like, yeah.
Or
No,
Or I'm talking about my dad.
that's one of those.
My niece moved so many people.
I
I said,
I feel like as long as he don't lose his mind,
I agree. All right, now, I can let you know your minutes if you'd like. You are shooting for, no, 75. Yeah, what about
look, Miss Dilla, my thing is, you know how we call our other family members by their name?
Yeah.
But when we probably call like our dad or our
Because they don't want to give you birth.
was I talking to you? No.
Okay.
Wait, not talking to you go.
Damn, she's taking a man.
What's up, cousin number one?
Now, some people do say cuz.
Oh, yeah, cousin.
I call my cousin my name.
Daniel, I got you at
Bro, Evan, you have a
11. I hope my cousin Okay. We're shouting and walking around. It's fine. But now let's pause. We got stuff to do. Yes. Yes, we've got stuff to do.
Wow.
43. Adam. Lila, I got you at 5. Addie at 13. CJ at 21. Perez, 23. Melinda, 30. Ayana, not yet, so make sure you hop on. Karen, not yet, so make sure you hop on. Devin, 44. Can one of you guys help me charger, please? I don't know if that charger, I don't know if it goes into the actual laptop. But I do have mine. Oh, wait, what's it called? Okay. Very good. Can you put this up, please? All right, y'all. I thought everyone.
No, wait, Jose. And
Yeah, that's good.
Miss Dilla and
I think you need to learn how to
Okay, thank you.
should I just look at mine?
I hate you wasting time. We're gonna have like a
Aaron. Yeah, she out of my charger.
Oh, did I just remove it from your laptop?
That's the bad.
Okay, that's the bad one.
There we go.
All right, y'all. Lock in, please. If you need earbuds, I have them. So you consider working smart today and trying to get about 25 minutes, and tomorrow about 25 minutes. You have an opportunity to probably get about 50 plus minutes in your life. So even if you haven't been on the software yet, realize that, oh my gosh, for me to even get 50 out of 75, I have to work every minute.
Yes, I would do this first. I would at least try and get like 50 out of 75, that's really cheap. You know what I mean? 23 out of 75. I don't think you deserve the right to not, you know what I mean? So let's do 23 divided by 7. So right now that would go as a 30%. So what I would do is I would do minutes now, because at least if you get 50 out of 75, like that's 66%, so it's still a D, but it's better than what you want, you know what I mean? And I know you could always do minutes like at night or over the weekend, but why not do them right now? You know what I mean, you're sucking. Well, I see it now, but that screen wasn't there, yeah, so now I see it. And I don't mind that some students are, do math and have a chill, but I feel like the chill is deserved after some work. You eat your dessert, but you gotta eat your Brussels sprouts first. Well, I know. Well, we've got it metaphorically, we have to eat. Even if you can't give me like 20 minutes of Brussels sprouts, could you give me 15?